extreme cruelty and violence inflicted on enslaved people as a form of domination. A man named Lewis Clark, in his narrative, described how slaves who tried to escape had toes cut off to prevent running away again. Cutting of the tongue. When an enslaved person spoke out, talked back, or spread word of freedom or rebellion, some masters resorted to cutting out part or all of the person's tongue, a form of punishment meant to silence them permanently. This was especially common on isolated plantations in the Caribbean and the American South, where there was less legal oversight. Legal sanction. In some colonies, laws permitted disfigurement as punishment. For example, early Virginia and South Carolina slave codes allowed severe corporal punishment, including mutilation, for rebellious or runaway enslaved people. These acts were considered disciplinary measures, not crimes. 5. Psychological warfare. Such punishments weren't just physical. They were psychological warfare meant to destroy resistance, both in the person being punished and those forced to witness it. Many enslaved people were made to watch as warnings of what would happen if they defied their enslavers. During the era of American slavery, slave owners and overseers used brutal methods to terrorize enslaved people into submission. One of those punishments included mutilation, cutting off body parts such as fingers, toes, ears, and even tongues to serve as both torture and a warning to others. Here's how and why it was done. 1. Control through fear. Slaveholders used mutilation as a way to break the spirit of enslaved people and deter rebellion or escape. If someone was caught trying to run away or talking back, the master might order part of their body cut off. Cutting off a toe or foot was especially common because it made running away harder. 2. Documented accounts. Historians and former slaves recorded many of these acts in slave narratives. For example, the WPA slave narratives, 1936 to 1938, contained testimonies from formerly enslaved people who described seeing or experiencing such punishments. In Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, Douglass recalled the extreme cruelty and violence inflicted on enslaved people as a
iron muzzles. These devices were fitted over the mouth to prevent enslaved people from speaking or eating, and were also a method of public humiliation. Exemptions in slave codes. The severity of the practice is further evidenced by a law in South Carolina that fined anyone who willfully cut out the tongue of a slave. While this may seem like a form of protection, the law was framed to exempt slave owners from all but the most extreme abuses. It did not prevent lesser but still cruel punishments like whippings or brandings. Other forms of mutilation as punishment. In addition to the tongue, other forms of mutilation were used to dehumanize enslaved people and crush any resistance, both physically and psychologically. This included branding. Burning the skin with a hot iron was a common method to mark enslaved people as property and to punish repeat offenders. Amputation. The cutting off of toes, ears, or other limbs was used to punish those who attempted to run away. Castration. The genitals of enslaved men were sometimes mutilated as a form of sexual exploitation and punishment. Iron muzzles. These devices were fitted over the M. Tarring and feathering was a rare but extreme punishment used to torture and publicly shame enslaved individuals. The process involved stripping the victim, pouring hot tar over their body, and then covering them with feathers. This method caused severe physical pain, burns, and lasting injuries. The public nature of the act served as a dire warning to others, reinforcing the consequences of defiance within the system of slavery. Enslaved women and girls were systematically subjected to sexual violence, serving as both punishment and a means of control. This abuse was pervasive, with some estimates suggesting that 58% of enslaved women aged 15 to 30 experienced sexual assault by slave owners and other white men. The trauma inflicted was profound and long-lasting, affecting their physical and psychological well-being. Such exploitation was legally sanctioned, as enslaved women had no legal recourse against sexual assault by white men. Enslaved individuals who attempted escape or resisted were often pursued by specially trained attack dogs, such as bloodhounds. These canines were bred and trained to track and apprehend runaway slaves, instilling fear and serving as a tool of control. The use of such dogs was a common practice in the antebellum South, reinforcing the oppressive system of slavery. In his 1789 autobiography, Olaudah Equiano wrote about a slave owner in the West Indies who cut off an enslaved man's leg and another who had an enslaved man's tongue cut out. These events served as both a deterrent and a form of entertainment for white spectators, reinforcing the power dynamics of slavery.
Hey everyone! If you love hidden Black history stories, you have to subscribe to Black History Stories 13, the channel where we uncover shocking truths they never taught in school. But that's not all. Check out Politics Global 1 for the latest political news and global events. And don't miss Alcabulan Reset 101, where we dive into history, culture, and ideas that will make you think differently. Hit subscribe on all 3 channels. Turn on the bell and join the community that's uncovering history, sharing knowledge, and changing the conversation. Don't wait. Subscribe now.